Okay, producer Brad is pointing at me. So he's pointing at me, should mean that we're back on the air. I'm going to hit send on this tweet here announcing that we're back. Hold on. I would take a few more seconds here. I'm getting text here. See if we are back. Oh, I love technology. Let's see. All right. So, have you ever, if you can, we'll give a cookie to the first person who can confirm that we're back. You ever updated your iPhone and then it turned into a paperweight? That's kind of sort of what happened with our broadcast software. Producer Brad. Producer Brad's is in major heartburn mode right now. He updated some software because that's what you do, and then it just I know this is killing you, isn't it, Brad?
It poo-pooed everywhere. Yeah, I'll be honest about it. That stuff happens, but yeah, no, I'm not a fan of junk going down like that. So
here's what upsets me the most. Okay, what upsets me about this little snafu the most is that the entirety of the town of Arden was let down by this. This was a big night in Arden, and I'm getting text after text from Arden, North Carolina, and we just, I mean,
I'm sorry, Arden.
You know how in Moore County, you know that the power grid went down. You know they shut out the power grid. Well, it's like that, but in Arden.
Oh man, yeah.
Can you believe that? We will try to do better. So here's what we'll do.
Grinch. Like the Grinch at Christmas time.
Here's what we'll do. We're gonna try to roll with this live like this. If it goes down again, we're recording it all. We recorded the first part we got on tape. This is on tape. If it goes down again, we'll just podcast the whole thing. Producer Brad will work his magic and sew the two pieces together. And if it goes down again live, we'll just put the podcast out, and you can check it out. After the fact, probably have it out. It never takes us very long to get those out. So that's the deal we'll make. Okay, folks, we're back now. We think we're back. Sounds like we're back, and we will do our best to stay back. But if we go away, we'll just keep going and podcast it for you.
Feats is flexing in the chat here, and we got a Tyndall saying that woohoo. So yeah, it looks like we're good.
All right.
Hey, we've got our first shout out. First shout out coming in from Canada. We've got Robert McCabe sighting here in the chat. So, all right.
International already.
We are already international. We've disappointed Arden, but we're still international. Robert's asking about the cap. We'll have to see. These are popular up north of the border. Our buddy, good friend of the show, Doug Cole, made these. So yes, I'm Kevin. I'm wearing a bootleg Niner hat on the podcast. Am I rebellious or what?
You are, man. And I don't know if he should have said that or not, but the hat does look good. And
it's fantastic. It's a fantastic looking hat, and it's bootleg, and Doug made it, and he's awesome, and it's awesome, and that's how we roll. All right, let's put the train back on the tracks here, if only momentarily, because I'm sure it'll come off again before too long for some reason or another. Big January coming up. First team meeting January 8th. First team scrimmage January 27th. First pitch dinner January 27th, Friday night in the Student Activities Center, Halton Arena. Big night. Still waiting on an announcement on the keynote speaker, but as I was saying, I think where we dropped off, it doesn't matter who the keynote speaker is. I mean, it's going to be awesome, whoever it is, but it's a fantastic night. If you're in the area, if you can get to Charlotte at all and you love Niner baseball, this is like the family reunion, and it's become a rite of passage, and it's everything you want before the season starts to get you psyched up about Niner baseball. And Kevin, I think I'm going to go. You want to go too?
I'm gonna be there, man. It's I think I broke our feed the last time I said this, but everything was great. Had a great time. The only thing that bothered me was the MC. He kind of got on my nerves a little bit.
Well, I heard there was a petition sent around to replace the MC, and I don't know if it got enough signatures or not, but I don't know. I don't know what they can do about that guy. Hopefully, he won't show up wearing a bootleg hat.
Well, all jokes aside, you did a great job. It was a great night, and you did great. And Seager did great, and everybody that spoke, Matt Brooks, Bryce McGowan, Aaron McKeithen, Coach Woodard. It was a great way to kick the season off officially.
Yeah. That's become an annual can't miss thing. We started, and we're talking other people into doing this as well, but we've started just staying at the Marriott on campus that night, and have kind of turned it into an annual, an annual deal. It's just, it's fun. If you can all be there at all, do. I mean, you won't be sorry. Continuing on in that vein, Grand Slam Club memberships are back up. So the new season is open for that. And there's information to that on charlotte49ers.com on the baseball page, Grand Slam Club stuff. So that's that the Grand Slam Club gets a little bigger every year. You want to make sure and get in on that, get some awesome gear and support the program with what they're doing. And then the last note I want to make here in that sort of same way is by everything we have been told, and the people that are running this are the ones that are telling us this, so it should be pretty good information. The tailgating will be back. So if you were able to take part in that last year, you buy a tailgating space out front of the Hayes, and that will be back this year. So it started off great last year. We met a lot of great people. We had, well, let's see we had the Kramers come in from Iowa and think it was cold, right? And they froze. Was that App State weekend? they froze with us. We met people from all over the place. We're going to do it again this year. So look for information on that to renew your tailgating parking. I think they're going to send that out once they get through season ticket renewals, maybe. So I think that's the plan. So take a look at that, and we'll be back out there. We'll rain or shine, cold, whatever. We're going to be back out there tailgating Saturdays at the Hayes, and I don't know, just come and hang out. You never know who you might see. I mean, Kevin likes to hang out there, and I like to hang out there, and producer Brad, and I don't know. We have various dignitaries.
Yeah, Woody stopped by one time.
Woody stopped by, talked a little game plan, talked a little strategy. It got bigger as the season went on, and we had some people kind of get in late on the end of the season that were like, I can't believe you guys are doing this. Why have I not been out here earlier? And so I think you'll see some more people jumping on board. So anyway, it's that time of year. First pitch dinner, January 27th. Renew your season tickets, renew your Grand Slam Club membership. Look out for parking information so you'll be able to tailgate with us before the games. Okay, Kevin, with all that business taken care of, it only took us 40 minutes to get through all that with with the pause.
We got to get going quicker than this if we want to get in an hour.
Hey, you know what? This is why we won't take on corporate sponsors, Kevin, because you start taking on corporate sponsors and then they want to tell you what you can do and they want to tell you how long it can be and all that stuff. That's the exact reason why we won't accept, massive amounts of corporate money.
You'll accept
massive
some
amounts, that's right.
Money then?
Okay, maybe there's no corporate money on offer, but whatever. It sounds good. Makes us sound like we turned down something, even if we didn't. All right. Let's get in here. So the last time we did this, last time we were all together, Kevin, we were talking about the Conference USA tournament down in Hattiesburg, and that's the last time we had an opportunity to get together and do a show. Niners went down there and went 1-2, beat Middle Tennessee like they owed them money. That was a 22-0 score. Then lost to Louisiana Tech and Old Dominion, which, quite frankly, have been two of our. They've both been a nemesis of ours since forever. Along the way, set at least one Conference USA record, but not exactly what the boys were looking for. But it is what it is, Kevin. You go down to postseason play, anything can happen. You win your first game and you take your chances from there, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, we got a tough draw the first game with La Tech. We had just played them in a 3-game series. Then bounced back big time with the Conference USA tournament record, 22-0 score. Started out well in the elimination game versus ODU, but just couldn't hold the lead against them, and they were playing pretty hot at the time. So tough way to end the season, but we had ups and downs. Lots of W's on the board. It was, to consider that a step back is kind of amazing to where it shows you where the bar's been set now. With was it 36-win season?
Yeah, and then you're going, coming off that, you're going, that's not, we wanted to do more. I mean, that's still one of the top seasons in program history. When you get right down to it. Right. So, the bar, as you say, the bar is set pretty high. Maddie and I had a chance to go down to Hattiesburg. I'll just say briefly, we've been to the last two Conference USA tournaments. Ruston is a big no. Hattiesburg is better. Hattiesburg has amenities. I would call Hattiesburg livable. I would equate it to a little more like I would say it reminds me a little bit of Greenville, North Carolina, as far as they have. There's like a Target, there's a mall, there's restaurants, there's this, that, and the other thing. So Hattiesburg's not bad. Pete Taylor Park, I got to admit, I was a little underwhelmed by Pete Taylor Park. The field is great. But the stadium itself, I'd heard all these things about Pete Taylor Park, and I just, it's okay. Now, the thing that's not okay, Kevin, I know you know where I'm going with this. They're out there in their tailgating spots in the right field where you can park out there. And you can drive into basically the stadium and park your truck at your tailgating spot out there in right field. And people have even taken to building. They've built like little like patios and things out there in right field where they hang out, and they leave their stuff there. You have like a locker, and they leave their grills there all week long and stuff like that. And I went over there at their little, basically somebody had brought those, you can buy those gazebos, that can be delivered on a truck. There was a raised gazebo out there in right field. And I was like, I can't believe they let y'all put this out here. I was talking to the person that owned it. I was like, I can't believe they let y'all put this out here. And he said, who said they let us?
Well, sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness, right, than permission.
He told me, he said, we basically just had this delivered here. And then when they asked us about it, said, oh, do you want us to move it? Imagine having your own party deck in the outfield at the Hayes. That's what they got going. So that part of Pete Taylor Park was fine. But you know what? Hattiesburg, all totaled, as far as getting down there, the whole thing, I'm not going to miss it.
Yep, and they have moved on to the Sun Belt, so we will not go to Hattiesburg again.
Yeah, we won't. I think it's probably safe to say, unless it's some kind of tournament scenario, we will never play in Hattiesburg again. And I'm not really. I mean, they're a great baseball program, but I don't feel the need to go back to Hattiesburg. Which we might as well go ahead and point out that we did, if you're looking, because we're going to talk schedule here in a little bit. The Southern Miss went ahead and left, so they're out of Conference USA now. Old Dominion and Marshall did as well. So we've got Old Dominion on our schedule this year, but it's an out of conference matchup. They're now a member of the Sun Belt, and Marshall. We will never play Marshall like again.
Nick, let me stop you real quick.
Ever.
We're getting close to Christmas, so be careful what you say.
Okay.
You want to stay on a nice list here.
I'm about to wrap this up. As far as Marshall leaving for the Sun Belt. Bye, Felicia. That's it.
Yeah.
They're gone.
There's someone else's problem. There's someone else's problem now. So.
There's somebody else's problem. Somebody else can go play there. Ugh. Okay.
We did add Dallas Baptist as a baseball only member for Conference USA. So
yeah, upgrade as far as I'm concerned. I mean, they're basically replacing Southern Miss's baseball.
And I guess Marshall and ODU kind of cancel each other out.
Yes. Fine. Good way to look at it. Why don't we quickly run through, Kevin? I'll let you walk us through it real quick. There was a slew of postseason awards for the guys from last year, and we'll kind of wrap it up that way.
Just trying to catch up from last season. Postseason awards in Conference USA. Josh Madole was the Conference USA all academic team. Dave McCabe was first team Conference USA. He was ABCA Rawlings All Atlantic Region second team, and he was also North Carolina Baseball Writers Association All American third team. David McCabe. Jack Dragum was first team All Conference USA. Had a great season for Jack. So we got two first teamers on Conference USA: David McCabe and Jack Dragum. Second team, Nate Furman and Cam Fisher. Cam Fisher also was on the all freshman team for Conference USA. He was Collegiate Baseball Newspaper freshman All-American, Baseball America freshman All-American second team. So quite a few accolades for Cam Fisher. Mostly a freshman, all freshman team and two All-American awards for him on that. Colin Kramer was also on that Conference USA all freshman team. Had a great season on the mound. So, and that wraps it up for the postseason awards. Quite a few Niners recognized for their seasons in 2022.
I thought there could have been some more guys on those lists as well, but I guess we can't get too greedy. But we're never. I mean, we're never going to be satisfied, are we?
Yeah, and Nate Furman's second team, man.
Yeah.
But we had lots of guys that could have been on that list for sure. Lots of guys had good years, but like you said, we're never going to be happy because we're biased a little bit.
Now, who got first team second base over Nate? Was it the guy at Old Dominion?
I think so.
Yeah. And then they left him. So see.
Yeah, he did leave. That's right.
Yeah. Great move, Conference USA.
So after moving along, some of those guys, well, I mentioned for postseason awards, we had the MLB draft. It was later this summer. Nate Furman went in the fourth round to the Cleveland Guardians. 4 picks later, Dave McCabe went to the Atlanta Braves. And then in the 11th round, Spencer Geesting was drafted by the Diamondbacks. I think it was the first pick of the 11th round.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 Niners drafted. Congrats to all those guys, man. It was I know it was a long process negotiating with the organizations and all that, but they all settled on a contract, an agreement. So they all three signed with their respective major league clubs. And Quentin Martinez signed as a free agent with the Angels. So got 4 new Pro Niners to add to the list.
That was a crazy day too, when it all went down, because I was out of town and you were texting me and you couldn't hardly get the text about Nate sent before David was picked. And then it wasn't, I mean, realistically on the clock, time wise, it wasn't that much longer before we saw, Spencer go. As far as, we were still geeked out about those two guys going, and then Spencer's going. It was just all happening very fast. So awesome for those guys. I mean,
yeah.
I'll say this. So if, and I've said this to you 100 times, Kevin, if you drew a big leaguer, okay, if you drew a big league baseball player, he would look like David McCabe. I mean, he looks the part, and he's got that sweet swing. It's hard to see him not having a long career, with his ability and the tools he has. We got a chance to see him play here in Kannapolis with the Green Jackets, and I think half of Charlotte baseball, everybody came out to see David that week when he played here. We haven't got a chance to see Nate yet. Hopefully we will this year. Nate was at the instructional facility, but he would come through Kannapolis. He plays low A this year. What is that? Is that Lynchburg?
The Lynchburg Hillcats.
So, and as far as Nate Furman goes, somebody somewhere might want to bet against Nate Furman, but it ain't gonna be me. Bet anybody that wants to line up and bet against Nate Furman, go ahead, because my money's on him starting at second base for the Cleveland Guardians. I mean, yeah. every time anybody says this guy can't, he's good at that, but he can't do this, it doesn't matter. He's going to do it anyway. So
right.
Nate Furman all the way to the bigs. I'm staking it. That's what's going to happen.
Well, yeah, you mean in 2021, he wasn't a starter to start the season. He got his opportunity, and you couldn't get him out of lineup after that. And he just went on a tear. Came back for 2022, and it was one of the best hitters in the league. Got on base over half the time, and scored a lot of runs. So, yeah, his trajectory he skyrocketed. Once he got an opportunity, he sees it and made the most of it, and he's a professional ball player now.
I almost said we. I'm not even going to say we. I'm just going to make it me. I'll take the rap on this, but the trajectory, as you said, great word of Nate Furman was, hey, we got this freshman coming in. This is this Furman kid. Oh, let's go see this Furman kid play in summer ball. So you go see him play in summer ball. He's playing for the Concord A's, which is your son's travel team. He's playing for the Concord A's, and he's just out all over the field. He is getting dirty. It's middle of summer, and Nate Furman is playing summer league baseball out in the Concord heat and dirt like it's the World Series. And hey, what'd you think of the Furman kid? You went and saw him. Hey, he's gritty player. Man, he's going to be tough. Awesome guy. Let's get him in here. And then you're like, he starts off on the bench. You're like, well, I mean, he can play, but I mean, is he gonna start? I don't know. I don't know if he's a starter right away. Well, a couple injuries happen. Like you said, what does Nate do? He gets in the lineup and never leaves. Then we go to another offseason. Coaching staff's talking about, hey, we think Nate Furman might be leadoff hitter. Leadoff hitter. Now, I like Nate. I mean, this dude's gritty, but is he really going to bat leadoff? Is that right? 502 on base percentage last year. So I'm done. I'm done trying to say, I think he's good, but can he do that? Can he start at second base for the Cleveland Guardians? Yes. Yes, he can, and yes, he will. That's what I'm going with.
I agree. I don't care who's there now. In a couple of years, it'll be Nate Furman.
I don't even honestly. I don't. It's like I got to pay attention to the Guardians. I have no idea who starts at second base. Don't care. He's going to have to go somewhere else.
They do have an all-star at second base right now, but 2 years from now,
doesn't matter.
That's right.
Doesn't matter.
Just a good transition into our Pro Niners wrap up from the summer. That's another step in the summer. We followed these guys all summer and kind of gave you guys updates on our Twitter account and stuff. You mentioned Nate Furman. He didn't get assigned to a team. He played in the Guardians. Worked out in the Guardians facility during the spring. During the summer.
Yeah.
And then joined their fall instructional team. Played in Instructs down there. Dave McCabe, he went down to the Florida Complex League Braves, played there for 2 games, and then got called up to Augusta, where we saw him come through Kannapolis. He had a pretty good stretch there from he batted .245 with we got 23 ribbies in 26 games, so that's pretty good. Spencer Geesting starting out in the he played 2 games in the Arizona Complex League before he went to Visalia Rawhide. He pitched in 7 games there. Was on a limited pitch count. I actually watched one of those games. Pretty good. 15.1 innings, 19 Ks, and 4 starts. So,
I think that's a tougher transition for pitchers like that when they're coming, and it depends on how the organization wants to handle them too, right? They're coming off a college season, and they've got and a guy like Spencer had pitched a fair amount of innings, and I'm going to miss watching this guy pitch at the Hayes because he was special when there were a couple of times last season. It happened more than once, but you could just tell. My favorite thing about Spencer Geesting is when guys would get on base, it just ticked him off. The offense is thinking, hey, we're getting to this guy. We've got second and we've got runners at second and third. And nobody's out. We're on the verge of getting this guy. No, you're not. You've just made him mad. We saw him do that. We saw him get out of those jams. I swear we'd have to go back in the archives and look at it because somebody's got a better memory than mine. But I swear he had second and third with no outs, gave up nothing. I think he struck the first 2 guys out, and then maybe got a ground ball or fly ball for the third, and he gave up nothing. And getting in scoring position just makes him angry.
All right. Speaking of giving up nothing, his last outing was in that conference tournament. He gave up 0 against La Tech. So, definitely going to miss him. Great lefty. Worked in different roles for us. So, going to be some big shoes to fill on the mound for filling Spencer Geesting's shoes. But going down the list of Pro Niners, Quentin Martinez, we mentioned, he played in 3 games for the Complex League Angels. He threw 5 innings, 3.60 ERA, so good little start for him. From last year's Pro Niners, Bryce McGowan, in his first full season in pro ball, pitched for the Fresno Grizzlies, 30 games in relief. Was 2-0, 39 Ks over 30 games, so that's pretty good. Aaron McKeith in his first full season split some time between Palm Beach Cardinals and the Peoria Chiefs, high A. Ended up with 5 homers, 13 doubles, batted .275. Threw out 6 guys, stealing. So working his way up the ladder. Josh Maciejewski started out in Double-A, or pitched most of the season in Double-A for the Yankees organization, Somerset Patriots. Had 1 spot start in Triple-A, but for the most part, one of his better seasons. 15 games pitched. He had a 3.65 ERA, but he got hurt in the second half and he missed a large chunk of the second half of the season. Hopefully he can recover and jump back into it. So, because I'm thinking he's probably going to be AAA next year if he's healthy. Reese Hampton played for the Gastonia Grizzlies, his second season with them. They're in the Atlantic League. He led the league with 65 stolen bases. Made the all-defensive team. And he also played for the Savannah Bananas. I won't get too deep into that, but there's a show on ESPN Plus called Banana Land, I think. I watched the first episode. They talk a little bit about Reese Hampton, but I've heard that he is in that series. So if you have ESPN Plus, check it out, Banana Land. It's a story of Savannah Bananas.
His rights have been traded by the Bananas, right? I believe. Yes.
Yes, he's going to play with the Savannah Party Animals, the teams that they play against. So they're Savannah Bananas. They've left the Coastal Plain League, and they are just going to do this full-time, professional traveling circus. Really, banana ball. They're going all over. It's
coming to Kannapolis.
Going to Kannapolis, coming to Durham. There's a lot of places to go see him this spring. So we'll keep you up to date on it.
I don't know which is more true. It's either we don't want to try to describe banana ball, or banana ball just defies explanation. Like you said, Kevin, if you want to know what banana ball is, go look it up. It's a different take on baseball, and Reese says that they pay pretty well. So
yeah, it's only growing. So can't wait to see him this spring. His teammate on the Gastonia Grizzlies was Zach Jarrett. He was a 2020 guy, 21 homers, 32 stolen bases, batted .313 on the season. He was Atlantic League Player of the Month for July. Great season for Zach Jarrett, Reese Hampton, and the Gastonia Grizzlies. I think they won the regular season title, and I think they lost out in the series to the High Point Rockers.
Yeah, they had a fantastic season. I mean, the Grizzlies the Grizzlies in general, but both our guys did as well. You know what? I'm calling them the Grizzlies. That's what their old name.
Yeah.
The Honey Hunters.
The Honey Hunters.
The Honey Hunters. The Gastonia Grizzlies. Gastonia Grizzlies just rolls off the tongue.
Honey Hunters.
The Honey Hunters. You gotta stop calling them the Grizzlies.
It's my bad. I wrote it wrong in the notes too.
I still call them that. Still call them that all the time.
See, we talked about the Bananas. The Grizzlies were originally owned by the Bananas.
Same guy.
Yeah, same guy on both of them. But anyway,
I still call the Cannonballers the Intimidators every once in a while.
Yeah, sometimes.
And then I get a bill in the mail from Teresa.
Oh,
I know. But yeah, I still slip up and call them the Intimidators every once in a while. So
yeah. Well, wrapping up our Pro Niners, Colton Laws. He started the season in Vancouver, pitching a couple games, and then had another shoulder injury. So he decided to hang him up. He retired from baseball, and I guess he had battled a lot of shoulder injuries in the past, and I don't think he wanted to go through the rehab again. So, congrats, Colton, on a great pro career, great college career. And
I hate that for Colton.
Yeah,
he was when he was at the top of his game. Not a lot of people were hitting him.
Right. He was fun to watch pitch, and he would go out every Friday for us, and then give us a chance to win every Friday. So
was that was 17?
Yes,
that was 2017, and nobody could hit Colton Laws Fridays. I don't. It feels like I'm probably misremembering this, Kevin, but it feels like his ERA on Friday nights was like $1.50 or something. I mean, it was nasty.
I know he had a stretch of, I think it was like 27 consecutive scoreless innings at one point.
Yeah. I mean, he caught lightning in a bottle. I mean, guys, they were just swinging and missing. I mean, he was missing bats. It was really fun to watch. Awesome to watch.
Yeah. You want to touch on summer ball a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk. Let's not overdo it. Let's touch a little summer ball here, because I think the thing that sticks out about summer ball this year is how many guys we had in the Cape. 11 different guys made an appearance in the Cape, and Nate Furman, by the way, and this was pointed out in the chat, and rightfully so, that Nate Furman tore up college baseball last year. He went and tore up the Cape over the summer, and then he got drafted, and then he went to the complex league. So that was a part of that. But Nate and Austin Knight, Jake Cunningham, Colin Kramer, Cam Fisher, Will Butcher, Caden Hobson spent time in the Cape. Also some incoming guys that maybe you're not as familiar with. Donye Evans, a pitcher transfer out of Vanderbilt. Aubrey Gillentine, who you may be familiar with because he's transferred to Charlotte from Southern Miss's roster. Aubrey wanted to stay in Conference USA, we think. I mean, and who could blame him? Wyatt Hoodlepole, transfer out of Kentucky, and Sam Conti as well, another transfer. All those guys pitched in the Cape this summer. So if you want to sharpen your skills, Kevin, you got to play the best. And during the summer, the Cape is kind of it.
Yeah, and it was odd this year because the draft happened right in the middle of their season, and they lost a lot of guys like Nate Furman. Nate Furman was on the All-Star team, and he got drafted, and then we signed with the Guardians. So that gave opportunities for others to backfill those roster spots, and we were able to send a lot of guys up there and get a lot of good experience. So yeah, and a couple of highlights up there was Cam Fisher was in the home run derby, the midseason home run derby. The Orleans Firebirds, they got to play at Fenway Park. They played an exhibition, and also Knight hit one over the Green Monster. So that was pretty cool. That was one of the highlights I saw. And of course, I mentioned Nate Furman on the All-Star team.
That's one of those lifer things. Like, it doesn't matter like where you are, when you are. Austin will always have that like in his bag that he can pull out. Well, I mean, everybody in the room who's hit a home run over the Green Monster, raise their hand. Not going to be a whole lot of hands up in that room, any room. And I mean, that's a pretty strong flex, right?
Yeah. Really cool moment. And he, like you said, he'll always have that. I mean, he smoked the ball too. There's video out there. You can probably look it up, but man, it is a short porch, but man, I think he cleared it out of the stadium.
Yeah. We'll get ahead of ourselves either, but the pitcher, some of these pitchers we talked about, Donye Evans, y'all gonna want to be at the Hayes when Donye Evans pitches. He's a different kind of talent. He is a large human being. The first time I saw a picture of him, he was up at the Cape. I thought he looked like he was standing next to our coaches at the Cape, and I thought it looked like Cam Newton. They talk about how Cam Newton just made everybody else seem small when he walked in a room.
Yeah.
Donye said he's that kind of athlete. He is big, he's strong, and I'm ready to watch him pitch at the Hayes, but we'll get on to that. Some CPL notes. Will Butcher tore the CPL up again. Eli Wiesner, a new player coming in, incoming JUCO. Eli, in our opinion, and who else's opinion matters, Kevin? In our opinion, Eli was the MVP of the Coastal Plains League. The only problem with that is the people at the Coastal Plains League did not see it that way. They did not consult with us. I don't know why. Maybe that email got put in our spam folder or something. I don't know. It's possible. But Eli Wiesner was top 5 in average, in home runs, and in RBIs. And he's the only person in the Coastal Plain League that could say that. I think he was second in batting average. The guy, they basically gave the MVP, and the guy that won the MVP had a great season. And he batted like, was it 50 points higher than Eli? It was massive. But Eli was hitting for average and for power, and was driving in runs. And to me, that matters. You don't just give whoever has the highest batting average the MVP, but whatever. Eli, you deserve that award, Eli. But don't worry about it. We'll get you a Conference USA win this year. How about that?
Yeah, there's plenty of awards coming his way. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll get you an award. And then we saw Matt Little pitch, and Matt had some very nice outings. Matt Little had a good summer in the CPL. He had some outings where he looked flat out dominant at times. So he had a good fall too. We'll talk about that. But Matt Little's a guy that if you're looking for somebody kind of laying in, as far as pitching staff, you're looking for somebody kind of maybe laying in the weeds that could emerge. And you're looking for, kind of one of those value bets. You might want to take a look at Matt Little. Yeah, he's a guy that could kind of surprise some people, I think.
Yeah, and we've seen it in the past. We saw Cam Fisher have a great year in CPL and then tear it up for us. And then we saw Will Lancaster had a great summer last summer, and then he tore it up this year for us. So
yeah,
definitely onto something there with what keeping an eye on Matt Little and those guys, Eli, that had great summers in the CPL. Moving on, SCBL, we had a couple all-league guys. Anthony Casiola and Blake Jackson were all-league for the SCBL. Blake Jackson and Dante DeFranco won the league again. Well, Dante won it for the second time with the Mooresville Spinners. So congrats to those guys. We got to see Dante DeFranco. We saw all these guys. We saw Anthony.
Saw them all.
We saw Blake Jackson. We saw Dante DeFranco. We saw them all this summer.
We saw Blake Jackson go 0 for 0 at the plate with 5 walks.
We did.
Did he even have a second strike in any of those at-bats?
I don't think so. I think the most strikes he had was 1.
I think you're right. I mean, we were all there. We brought our lawn chairs. We were ready to get in on Blake Jackson. We were pounding Celsius in the parking lot before we went in, and we were like ready to yell, "Do it!" And he got walked 5 times.
Yeah. It was just so close to our house. We had to go check it out. Dante DeFranco and Blake.
The most exciting thing that happened was one of the dads was riding the umpire, and the umpire basically asked him if he wanted to come out there and do it for him. I think was the gist of what he said. Is that not right, Kevin?
He said you want to trade places. You want to trade places with me? So, yeah, as you can imagine, the crowds aren't very large at some of these summer ball games, but so the umpires can pretty much hear everything that the fans are saying.
Yeah, I think they can always hear everything that the fans are saying. I just think in summer ball they'll just turn around and talk back. I've told that story on the air before where I questioned a call at a summer ball game. Not really like vehemently. I wasn't like angry. I just like saying to myself, "Wow, where'd that miss?" And the umpire turned around and said, "I had it a ball and a half off the inside corner, sir." Oh, good to know.
Well,
thank you very much.
They like to keep you informed.
They like to keep, yes. Hey, how about this? So this is worth telling. I about got Tyler in trouble. I about got Tyler Simmons in trouble at the conference tournament in Hattiesburg. So in between innings, which game was this? I can't remember. I think this was the Louisiana Tech game, I think. Well, yeah. Louisiana Tech. Yeah, it was a little Louisiana Tech game. the umpire, we were sitting behind, like up and behind the dugout, and the umpire had made some calls that that I didn't like. And so in between innings, he's like walking up the first baseline and he looks into our dugout, and I don't know what he's doing. He's saying something into our dugout, like, like he's trying to manage every last detail. And I just decided to kind of elevate my voice a little bit and say, hey, I don't think you ought to worry about what's going on in there. Maybe you have bigger things to worry about, like perhaps figuring out your strike zone. And his head whipped around. My voice was coming from over the dugout. He thought it was coming out of the dugout. And when he turned around, the first person he saw was Tyler Simmons. And he's like, what? Hey, what are we doing? What are you, he's like giving Tyler the business. And Woody's like, hey, Blue. And he points back up over his shoulder and he points at me. And the guy looks up there and I waved to him. And the guy, he said something to me and, whatever it was, and just walked away as I sat there and laughed. But you would think I would watch my mouth after that, but instead I just moved. So I wasn't by the dugout.
You should have moved to the other team's dugout.
It's not a bad idea.
For next year, for Houston next year or this year.
Yeah, coming up. So yeah. Anyway, all right, I'm done with that. There's your Hattiesburg. You wanted a Hattiesburg story, so there you go. There it is.
Got it.
Let's talk staff changes, shall we?
Yeah, another big thing that happened in the off season. We had a few staff changes. Coach Austin Miney, got a job with he's joining the Baltimore Orioles organization. He's going to be a minor league pitching coach and analyst. So hate to lose him. He was here for 2 seasons. Going to join the Orioles now. I think he said he was going to live up in that Baltimore area. I think he's either going to be in Frederick or not. They don't have a Frederick team anymore, do they?
No. They went summer ball.
It's Bowie and Delmarva, right?
Yeah.
So he's probably going to be in one of those organizations.
Yeah, I think back to when we brought Austin in a couple years ago. Woody's comment about Austin was, yeah, he'll be here for a couple of years, but eventually Major League Baseball is going to come and take him from us. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, they did. They certainly did. Couldn't pass up that opportunity to work in the big leagues. So best of luck to Austin. We're going to miss you and your family at the Hayes this year. Our buddy Hudson.
We're going to miss Huddy. Okay. Yeah. Austin's son Hudson has been a staple in the stands. And I don't know. I mean, Huddy, we'll miss your mom, Katie, too. Okay, fine. But we're going to miss Hudson. I mean, it's not going to be the same in the stands, but maybe they'll come back and visit.
All right. I'm sure they will. So with Miney taking that position, Coach Woodard's going to take over as a pitching coach, like he did in I think in 2020. He was pitching coach for his first season here.
Yeah.
And Coach Steve Behar is going to be. He's been promoted to full-time hitting coach and also assistant recruiting coordinator on staff. So he moves into that role.
Great move.
Yeah, great move.
Great move.
I mean, he's another one of those guys that's one of those young minds that will be coveted by others.
That's organizational depth, right? I mean, as fans, as college sports fans in general, right? Over the years, whether it's college basketball or football, whatever, fans will get concerned that money is going to lure their coaches away, right? Well, the opposite of that is to have coaches that the money doesn't want. So when other organizations, whether it be MLB or colleges with bigger budgets, like in the SEC, whatever, when people are buying your talent, that's telling you that you're doing something right. I mean, that's just the way the world works, right? If you don't have anything that nobody else wants, you don't have the right stuff. I mean, that's as simple as you can make it. So good on these guys. It's great. We've got the right people. People are our people have options, and that's great.
We're hiring the right people. So
yeah.
And Phil's definitely made a big impact on our offensive performance.
Absolutely.
And now we added a new coach to our staff. Michael O steps off the mound, and he joins the Niners staff. He's going to be the new pitching coordinator for the Niners. So congrats to Coach O. Looking forward to seeing him in action this year.
Yeah, we found that out. I had to give him a Coach O. Ed Ogeron, is always with that deep Cajun accent. He's always go Tigers. So every time I see Coach O, I say go Niners.
Yeah,
Coach O.
There's Coach O. So mid-range Mike too. He's got a lot of nicknames.
Mid-range Mike. Never forget that.
Yeah. So that wraps up the staff. Of course, Coach Simmons is working with catchers, and he's director of player development. And Coach Bick, he's still associate head coach, recruiting coordinator. So quite a strong staff that Coach Woodard's put together. Excited to see what these guys do this spring.
Yeah, we did have a couple of off the field notes here. We'll throw those in. Congrats to Coach McKibben. He recently got engaged to his fiancee Nicole. So congrats to Coach McKibben. And Siebes is engaged too. Phil, we don't have your fiance's name, so we can't congratulate her too. But I'm sure we will soon. But man, it's going around in Niner baseball. Well, love is in the air, Kevin.
I was going to say the same thing. Love is in the air.
That's we are growing, and we are prospering, and we are expanding the Niner baseball family by any means necessary.
That's right. So congrats to those guys. Big life steps in the game of life. Congrats to everybody.
And if you need any advice about how to stay married, you can talk to my wife, Emily. She'll tell you all about that. She's actually hanging out in here tonight. She's really good at staying married. It's a gift.
Hats off to Emily for staying married to
you. Yeah, she's the real MVP. All right, let's start looking forward here, because that was the really point. There were two main points to this. Believe it or not, this show had points. Okay, there were two main points here. We had all this stuff that we had not talked about, and we didn't want to leave it hanging out there. Okay, we wanted to talk about the end of last season briefly, and talk about the awards and the guys that are gone to draft, and the pro Niners and all that stuff. But what we really wanted to do, and this show tonight, and sorry about the trouble we had earlier, but we'll podcast the whole thing for everybody. But this show was really for you, you diehard sickos like us. One, we wanted to sort of tie up some loose ends, and two, we were tired of not talking about Charlotte baseball. So we decided to do a show tonight. It's National Signing Day. Everybody's talking about football recruiting, and that's awesome too, by the way. If you want to go look at what new head coach Biff Poggi's doing, they just had an awesome day today, but that's not really our deal. We read about that stuff. We don't talk about that content wise, but we're just like, screw it. Enough time has gone by. Let's talk baseball, and let's kind of get us ready to move into January. Because once we get into the new year, we're going to come back to you, and we're going to bring, we'll bring Woody in with the staff this week. The staff are on vacay. They're getting some much needed downtime, and good on them. And we just told them, we got this. We're gonna talk baseball. Let us do this thing, and then we'll start afresh in January. So this is the earliest we've ever done a show as far as that goes. That wasn't like back in the fall or whatever. We did do the fall games back in the, let's see, we did the Ontario game, Kevin, and then the
we didn't do we did you guys, you and Grady Little and Matt Brooks did the Flodar game.
We did Flodar,
and you and I did the green white.
That's what it was. You and I did green white,
which was fun.
Which is fun. The Walter State game is the one that didn't happen because of weather. It was a hurricane. A hurricane got the Walter State exhibition game. Never happened. We were set to broadcast that one. So anyway, this has all been just to set up 2023. And so getting some housekeeping out of the way, testing out the new version of OBS, which is the software that crashed earlier. So we just wanted to see if producer Brad would have a heart attack on air live or not. And he didn't. So that's good. We're doing really well. But when you start looking towards 2023, and this is where we really get excited, Kevin, there's this team. I don't even think I'm exaggerating here. Okay. So this is the, so we had this current staff had the shortened 2020 season, the 2021, and then the 2022 seasons. So this is their fourth version of the squad. I don't think I'm stepping out very far here to say that on paper, that's where it all starts, right? On paper, this is the deepest and most talented squad that we've seen, because when we start talking about who's going to go where and who's going to do what, there's so many guys in the mix. It's hard not to get excited about it.
Well, first thing you look at is we're the guys that are coming back. Is we're fortunate to have guys like Cam Fisher and Austin Knight coming back. We've got pretty much 7 of our 9 starters.
Yep.
If you count Blake Jackson,
yep.
We got 7 or 9 position player starters returning. Let's see, we returned 11 pitchers from last year, 11 position players overall, and then the new guys that we backfilled with 6 new position players, 10 new pitchers. We got a 2-way guy, Calvert Clark, who plays outfield and he pitches. So there's a lot to work with the guys returning, and then you add on top of that the incoming class, which, by the way, has gotten some accolades. The JUCO recruiting class is ranked number 2 in the country by the Perfect Game recently. So lots of good pieces coming in, lots of portal pieces, lots of good freshman players coming in as well. So we're just adding that talent to the returning talent, and like it is a lot of depth to look at. I think I did some of the numbers here. We returned 67% of our total bases last year, which is really good. We lose Nate Furman, McCabe, and Josh Bedole in that lineup, but the guys we have still here is a solid foundation for that lineup. And then on the pitching end, we only returned 45% of our innings pitched from last season. So there's big holes to fill, like Spencer Geesting, Matt Brooks, Colby Bruce, Will Lancaster, those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Got a lot of holes to fill, but I think we backfilled with guys like Danya Evans, you mentioned earlier. I got to see him pitch on YouTube in the Cape, and he looked really good. Looked like a weekend starter for sure. So lots to be excited about with
the return of CeeLo.
Yeah, we hadn't even got to CeeLo yet. He missed last season with an injury, and he's working his way slowly back. Didn't get to see him pitch this fall, but I think he was on the verge of throwing and throwing off a mound when fall practice ended. So yeah, we've got quite a lot to be excited about in this roster.
Getting a shout out for Jake Cunningham in the chat. Absolutely.
Right.
It was not going to be very much longer before Jake Cunningham's name got mentioned in regards to 2023. Because this dude, he is all over draft radars right now. And for good reason. I think if you, he's got, when you start talking about having 5 tools, he's got at least 6 of them. And you're going to want to come watch Jake. That's all I can tell you. You don't pencil him in center field. Just you can write it in blood if you want, I guess. He's a phenomenal baseball player. He had a great season last year, and he is primed to have a monster season this year, not only offensively but defensively.
Yeah. I mean, he had 16 homers, 16 stolen bases last year. I'm pushing him for. I want to see 20 and 20 this year.
And Jake was beat up part of the season too. I
mean,
he messed up his thumb like the very first weekend in Tampa.
Yeah.
I mean, there were points in time where he was hitting like holding the bat like that, it was, and just to hang on. I saw at one point, I swear I saw this. Jake had an interlocking like golf grip to keep his hands on the bat because he was having trouble gripping, and he was still raking doing that. I mean,
so yeah, and he had a year in the weight room and off season to get healthy. So yeah, man, he's another one of those guys who's in the Cape for a short time. And looking forward to see how much he's grown since last season.
Yeah, he's a monster. Jake's a monster. I mean, if he's not if he's not all league and maybe even more, I'll be surprised just because you remember he was as a freshman. He looked at times, particularly on defense and center field, Jake looked very freshman, right? But he made this giant jump as a sophomore. And usually the big jump comes from sophomore to junior. But you see Jake made this jump at the plate. He made it defensively. And now he's on all these draft lists. And of course he is. He's gonna have some opportunities to play. He's gonna be on our Pro Niner list here in a few months, I think.
Yeah. So he wasn't eligible he's not eligible till this next off season for the draft. So he's definitely gonna get some looks. Lots of other guys on our team are gonna be. I have a feeling they're gonna be getting some looks as well. Our outfield looking like Cunningham in center, Fisher and right. Those are 2 guys that you're gonna see in the draft. And then we got Blake Jackson probably in left. He was injured in that Western Kentucky series. Looking forward to seeing him back in the lineup. It adds a little speed and pretty good glove out there in left. And he could be in the lead. He could be penciled in the leadoff spot. I think he's got the speed to get in there. We'll see how it works out in the spring practices. But
the only thing I'm going to say about left field, because you're right, center and right, I think that's a given, right? The only thing I'll say about left field is when Butch went out there last season, was going to play left field. I had my doubts. I was like, okay, let's see what Butch. Butch was really good in left field, and he got better even. And it looks like he's even made more strides in the offseason. Butch was good in left field. So, I'm not stating a preference or anything like that, because I mean, that job that started off with Blake Jackson, and he's got the speed to go out there. But the question about this lineup, when we get to it, and man, we're almost there to make some decisions. It's just going to be a few more weeks. Is Butch's bat is going to be in this lineup somewhere. we didn't get a chance to talk about a lot of fall stuff, which, you know, it is what it is. But Butch, this fall, Butch had the kind of fall that David McCabe had a couple years ago. How many home runs did Butch end up with? Was it?
You said like it was 16 or was it 12 homers and 60 at bats or something like that?
Yeah, it was something gaudy. Butch was just he
had a good fall. Every time I turned it on, he was hitting a homer.
Yeah.
And you're right. His versatility playing left, playing first base. They said he's making strides defensively at first base. So his bat's going to be in the lineup, and the versatility he brings either in left field, first base, or DH.
And they worked him at first some too.
Right. Yep. He's going to be in the lineup no matter what. And I think you've got a lot of options. Coach Woodard's got a lot of options to put out there. So that's always a good thing. Because as we know, things are going to happen during the season. You're going to need to have guys step in here and there, different positions, and we're set up for that, hopefully. So.
Well, the left-hand side of that infield from last year is you know, what's the old saying? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, who knows how it'll shake out? But when you start talking about Jack Dragum and Austin Knight, it's hard to ask for more than those two. And then the real hole would seem to be at second base. Well, second base and first base, because you're trying to replace Josh Madole at first. With all his experience. And I mean, as far as playing first base, Josh Madole gave you everything you could ever want. You got to replace that. And then at second base, you got to replace Nate, not only on the diamond, but in the lineup with the 502 on base percentage. So, you know, and I'll just go ahead and throw this out there that Eli Wiesner is going to be in this lineup somewhere too.
Yeah, I think the good thing about Austin Knight and Jack Dragum, you can put those guys at either second base, shortstop, third base, either one of them, and be comfortable. And they would both excel at any one of those positions. And Austin Knight even played at outfield some in the fall. So you're going to get solid defense no matter where you put those two guys. Question, I mean, like I was saying with Butch, it adds versatility to your lineup.
Yeah.
And matchups and other things that go into play when Coach Woodard's making the lineup. So if they're at shortstop and third like they were last year, if one of them goes to second, opens up third base, we got guys like Wiesner, you said, and Spencer Nolan was playing first base. Brandon Stallman was out at first base and second base, I believe, this fall we saw.
Yeah, newcomer Brandon Stallman he's a grinder, and Spencer Nolan, freshman out of Wilmington, is going to be, you know, we were talking about this off the air, but when you start making a list of the guys that we have sort of waiting in the wings, sort of the Nate Furman position from a couple years ago, right, when he was waiting on his opportunity, you know, you've got you talk about JD Suarez, you talk about Spencer Nolan, you talk about Drew Tyndall, who is you know, done a lot of work behind the plate, but's been working to pick up some other positions, working on that versatility, as you say, switch hitter on top of that. These are guys that are waiting in the wings, looking for an opportunity. And let's face it, I mean, I think if you go back a few seasons, these guys wouldn't be waiting in the wings. We'd be playing them. It just speaks to how much the talent level on the roster has increased. That a guy like JD Suarez is trying to work his way on the field, because right. JD's a heck of a ball player. All those guys I just mentioned are very good college baseball players. And you know, if somebody, not to have anybody looking over their shoulder, but if somebody, you know, you don't want to, you know, if anybody gets dinged up, let's just put it that way, and has to miss some time, there's going to be somebody ready to play and somebody you're confident in as well. So That's not a bad position to be in.
Yeah, and J.D. Suarez did it last year. He stepped in as a freshman, and he's another guy you can feel comfortable plugging in at any of those positions. And another guy you didn't mention, Hug Watson. He's he stepped in last year as a true freshman. Got some good at bats, and look, I can't wait.
Interesting to see how that goes with the catcher behind the plate, because I mean Hobson's the guy there, but with some of these guys coming up behind him, like Huck, like Drew, maybe it becomes a little more, a little more of a rotation, and they start giving, letting Hobson have some time off. Remember, Lauren used to like to go, Friday and Sunday with a catcher and bring a different guy in on Saturday. I'm not saying we're going to go to that, but maybe a weeknight game, you give somebody else a look. We put a lot of mileage on Hobson last year. We asked a lot of him, and he did it all, to his credit. But we definitely we asked him to extend what he was doing.
Right. It's always good to have depth, especially behind the plate, because it's a rough position, and you're going to get little nicks, banged up a little bit here and there throughout a season. So
a lot of wear and tear after over 56 games.
Yeah. So offensively, defensively, we kind of we have a really good idea of what we got. I think going back to the pitching side, we lose 55% of our innings, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. So we've got to look somewhere for guys to step up, and guys we brought in to fill those voids. He talked about Donye Evans, probably pencil him in as the weekend guy. And then we got guys that are returning guys. Hale Sims started quite a few games. He really progressed from 2021 to 2022. Guy like Colin Kramer, we mentioned, all freshman team. Cam Hansen, he started a few games last season. Looking forward to seeing his growth as well. Then you got a few new guys that are probably competing for those starting positions. I know we saw Clark Dearman transfer out of Presbyterian, lefty. He pitched pretty well. I saw in the fall. We had.
I think there's some more guys in this incoming class laying in the weeds too, but we'll save that.
Yeah, we've got a lot of.
Well, next time we're back, we'll come back after the new year. We'll have Woody with us, and we'll see what we can drag out of him about the pitching staff.
Yeah, because we haven't seen all the guys. We haven't seen some of these guys that are on the roster pitch yet, really, and they have.
Yeah. So we promised you a little schedule talk before we go, and that's. And, I don't know. I think producer Brad's telling me this is going to add up to an hour and a half once we sew it all together without the technology break in the middle there. So that's probably good. Like I said, we wanted something to do tonight, and we know some of you sickos they're like us. We'll just, we'll eat this stuff up. So here we are. This 2023 schedule is even what I would say, Kevin, about the 2023 schedule is even the games, when you go by brand names, even the games that you might be tempted to overlook, starting with Ball State opening weekend, are tough games. Right. There's not a break on the schedule hardly. I don't. If there is, I don't see it.
Our non-conference schedule is probably the toughest I've seen as far as our first 4 weekends. You mentioned Ball State. We'll open up with Ball State. They won the MAC regular season last year. They were 40-19, and they ended up losing in the championship game, so they didn't get the NCAA bid. But they had two All-Americans on their roster, preseason All-Americans, and a freshman All-American from last year on their mound. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge. It's coming right out of the gate.
Let me click down through some of these and just make our point here. So, like you said, Ball State opening weekend. Last year, 40-19 MAC regular season champions, and they return a lot, including a preseason All-American at third base, right, and a closer. Next weekend, Army. Oh, Service Academy. We should be fine, right? That's no big deal. NCAA tournament team last year won the Patriot League. They've got a new coach coming in, but that's what you're getting with them. There's going to be no easy games. The next weekend, you're going to Virginia Tech for 3 games. Oh, by the way, they just hosted a super regional last year, so no big deal there. Old Dominion comes into the Hayes the next weekend. We're playing that as an out of conference series this year. All I can tell you about every series I've ever been to between Charlotte and Old Dominion is it's just a bar brawl. It's going to go all the way to Sunday. There are no easy games in that series. And then you go to Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, the league didn't do us any favors. We go right to at La Tech the first weekend. It'll be our last trip to Ruston, but
we got to do it one more time, and it's right out of the gate.
A regional team, they made a regional. They won the Conference USA tournament. They ended up losing in the regional to Texas, but then the conference did us another favor. We followed that up with Dallas Baptist. They're at home at least. But two top teams in the conference that are going to be competing for the title. We get them right out of the gate. Dallas Baptist, we mentioned, they're a baseball-only Conference USA team this year. They got an at-large from the Missouri Valley Conference last year. They were in the same regional as La Tech. So La Tech actually beat them.
We've got some history with Dallas Baptist. We've had them several times in the last handful of years. I don't know. Did we play them? Was that maybe the sort of the end of the A-10 run that we played?
It was 2013, 2014, home and home we had.
Yeah.
With Dallas Baptist.
So we're just, and if you're listening to us, if you're still listening at this point, who Dallas Baptist is. That baseball's their thing. They're a very good program and a great addition to Conference USA. It's not enough to make me want to stay, but it's a great addition for them. Then at UAB, back home to UTSA, and UTSA has become our stumbling block. When Charlotte and UTSA get together, it's just. Really, that was kind of a turning point in our season last year. Was the series in San Antonio? So we get to have them come back here. We're going to Rice, which I don't know. I don't know what to expect from them. They've got another recruiting class under their belt. They fired their pitching coach last year and replaced him. So we'll see what that happens, how that shakes out. But we come back home for UAB. Everybody has a home and home opponent, and ours is UAB. So we'll play 6 games versus UAB next year. Home for FAU, at FIU, home to Middle Tennessee. Hopefully, Kevin, what's happening here is the Conference USA schedule is front end loaded. That's the hope.
Yeah.
But in reality, conference series are you can't take anything for granted in the league. I don't care who it is.
And those last 4 weekends at WKU, they've got a new coach. FAU is going to be a title contender. And at FIU, they got a new coach. Middle Tennessee, they got a new coach. So your last 4 weeks, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
By that time in the season, they'll be surprising people, or they'll be a first year as head coaches.
And we didn't even touch on the midweek stuff, which is just like Clemson, South Carolina, Chapel Hill, ECU.
Yeah, we got.
Didn't even touch on those.
Yeah,
that's the schedule. We just described this tough schedule to you, and then by the way, let me tell you about the midweeks, which we're not going to go on that tonight, but there'll be plenty of time for that. But this schedule, I think what you said sums it up, Kevin. This schedule is this is tough. This is the toughest schedule I can recall us having in quite some time, if maybe ever.
Yeah. And a couple of exciting things, about the schedule. We got Atrium Health Ballpark game. We're playing Wilmington there. And we're hosting 2 games at Truist Ballpark in Uptown Charlotte against ECU and South Carolina. So I know a lot of fans get excited about those games, so we're excited about it too.
Chapel Hill's coming to campus.
Chapel Hill's coming to the Hayes. Going to Coastal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot to throw Coastal in there. Oh yeah, that midweek game.
Yeah. So
this schedule is tough. Tough.
Yeah, and it's going to put us in a position for an at-large if we're successful. So that's all you ask for when you're putting a schedule out, and hopefully lots of W's pile up.
Yeah. All right. That's it. We're done. Good night, everybody. No, we are gonna wrap it up here. It's been producer Brad's like, man, you got to wrap this thing up, and I do everything producer Brad tells me to do. So on and off the air, no lie.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be back. Here's the plan: get through Christmas. Everybody have a great holiday. Get through New Year's. And once we get into January, it is our commitment. We're going to get on the air in January, and it'll be before, well before the first pitch banquet coming up on the 27th. So we'll have a chance to talk to you about that again. Hopefully by then we'll have a keynote speaker confirmed. So that should hopefully be in place by then, and we can talk to you about that. But yeah. We're going to take the break was too long. We missed talking Charlotte baseball, so we got on the air to do it tonight. If you hung out with us live, we appreciate you so much as always. If you're catching it later on podcast, hope you enjoyed that as well. Always, you can check us out. We're on as long as Twitter lasts, we'll be on there. So we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. Man, that's a whole nother thing, man. If Twitter, boy, what would we do? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, still no TikTok, but you can check us out on YouTube. Think about subscribing to the YouTube channel. That's a great way to keep up with us. And if something does happen to Twitter, jumping on YouTube, probably I will tell you what we're going to do next. So you might want to subscribe to the YouTube channel just in case. This has been episode 1. Season 6 of Diamond Niners Weekly. For Kevin, for producer Brad. Good night, everybody. Happy holidays.